All right, and welcome into the BettingPros College Football Show. We sit on the precipice of November, a month that reveals the contenders and the pretenders of the collegiate football landscape. Conference play is in full swing, and today we give you our early picks and line movement predictions for Week 10 of the season. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock. Feeling good, feeling a little bit anxious already, as all eyes this week will be on the town that I called home for 3 years of my life, Happy Valley, Pennsylvania. I am joined by a man who is stoking the football flames as he's coming into Week 10 hot, Scott Bogman. Boggs, good afternoon to you, my friend. Here we go again with another week on tap.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Like you said, my picks have, on my best bet show at least, have been really solid the last week, 11-1. In the last week, 6-0 this weekend. I was very happy about it, but you know what the most important week is? This week.
Yeah.
This week is the most important because it's the one we're playing this week. So let's go out and keep it rolling.
Yeah, and we've got a stacked lineup for everyone today on the program. We will react to Week 9 and some of the AP rankings movement. We'll also give you an early handicap of the biggest games on the Week 10 slate. Thanks to everyone who makes us part of their weekly routine. We greatly appreciate it. The easiest way to support us is to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the BettingPros YouTube channel. Joey P, Erickson, the Welsh, they're holding down the NFL side of things. Terrell, he's firing away right now for the NBA season. And Matt Perrault, he's giving you his daily juice each and every single day of the week. And before we jump in, I did want to remind you, if you want a chance to win a signed Kyren Williams Los Angeles Rams jersey for free, courtesy of our friends over at pristineauction.com, all you have to do is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel right now. Drop a comment below on any of our videos, and that's it. We will be announcing a winner right here on the channel. So make sure you turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new videos are up and to claim your prize. And before we jump into the next slate of games, let's discuss what we saw in Week 9. A week with few upsets, but some honestly very, very intriguing games. Notre Dame, they smacked Navy 51-14. Coach Sig's Indiana Hoosiers became the first program in 20 years to have not trailed through 8 games into the season when they beat up on Washington 31-17. Ohio State, they survived Nebraska 21-17. Oregon whacks Illinois 38-9. Bama blanks Mizzou 34-0. And Texas makes it out of Vandy, goalpost intact. Marcel Reed also provides the spark for the Aggies late night to beat LSU 38-23. And in relief of Drew Aller, Bo Perbola, he leads Penn State here back to beat Wisconsin 28-13. Bogman, what a week of ball. What stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, LSU and A&M, what a wild game, right? A&M comes all the way back late. They put Marcel Reed in, and he scores 3 rushing touchdowns to lead them to victory. That was a very impressive performance. And, I mean, I don't know who did more. Like, was it Marcel Reed getting the spark, or was it the picks from Nussmeier in the second half that more sunk LSU? So, A&M still a bit of an enigma, right? You lose that first game, you come back and win. You've had, musical chairs at the quarterback position. So a fun season for them, which means that Texas game at the end of the year is looking more and more important every single week. So I'm getting excited for that. Means I probably won't be going because I don't think the ticket prices are going to be dropping, but we'll see. So that one really stood out to me. And also, a lot of the stuff you were listing off, I had right in the predictions, but I did not have Oregon smacking Illinois. And I really hadn't given Illinois their due respect. I had picked Michigan against them the week before, and I said, I'm going to give them their respect this week. And they finally, let me down. So we're back against Illinois, unless they win us money. So, but Oregon looks really strong right now. They seem to be peaking.
Yeah, it feels like we're really figuring out the teams that are here to play and the ones that are just having a little bit of a hot streak. Looking at some of the AP rankings movement, Notre Dame, BYU, and Texas A&M, they all joined the top 10. Pitt jumps up to number 18, and Washington State and Colorado are ranked for the first time this season. Anything noteworthy to you here, Bogman?
Man, Colorado looks good. They just look good. They
bowl
look like
eligible.
A legit Big 12. Yeah, first time since, I think, 2016 when they won 10 games or whatever it was. So, they look strong, a legit Big 12 contender. A&M deserves to be in the top 10 as well with the victories that they've had. So, interesting movement. BYU needs to move up. I think we need to put a little more respect on Indiana. Get
Agreed.
them up a little bit. Like you said, they haven't trailed yet in a game. Had a big pick six. I mean, Washington is not, they're not what they were last year, but they weren't a scrub coming in, and Indiana wiped the floor with them. So, I mean, the movement's interesting, but we're going to get the playoff rankings pretty soon here. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Agreed. Let's start here in Week 10, where the action gets going on Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time in Boise, Idaho, where the 15th-ranked Broncos are hanging 23.5 points on the 3-4 San Diego State Aztecs. Boise State, they've moved to 6-0-1 against the spread last Friday, beating UNLV 29-24. The Rebels did keep Heisman Trophy favorite Ashton Jeanty in check, 3.9 yards per carry, and UNLV's Hajj Malik Williams was running wild on this Broncos defense for a majority of this game. San Diego State, they come off a hard-fought game against Washington State, losing 29-26 as a 14.5-point dog. They now sit 2-3-2 against the spread, covering in 2 straight. Boise, they are 5-4, in this rivalry all time, but this was a one-score game last year. To me, 23.5 seems like too many points for a Friday night conference game between two teams undefeated in Mountain West play. What say you, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think the initial line, and it's actually moved down a little bit already. Yesterday when I was doing this, it was 24.5. This morning, 23.5. The total also dropped a point. So I think we're getting it closer to where we want it. I would prefer it to be at 21 or below. That's what I want to do to take Boise State. I don't mind the over, but I played the over on Boise State last week, and it obviously did not work. This is just not a good matchup for San Diego State. It just really isn't. I mean, right now they are 88th in rushing defense. They grade 112th in rushing defense in their 4 losses. They've given up on average 195 rushing yards.
Wow.
So for me, I want this to dip to 21 or below to take Boise State. I'm not taking San Diego State. I'm just not doing it. Their offense has been pathetic. 105th, they're only averaging 22.8 points per game. 340 total yards, puts them at 106th. 82nd in passing, just over 200 yards, 213.6 per game. I don't want to rely on them to score points. And I know that this is a get-right game for Ashton Jeanty, right? Let's get back in that Heisman conversation by having an enormous game with a bunch of touchdowns here against San Diego State. I think that's what they want to do. So I'm going to wait for this line to come back a little bit and see what the best number is probably before kickoff. And then the total I don't really want to mess with.
Okay, so if it doesn't move down too much, probably just staying away unless it gets below 3 touchdowns there?
Yeah, I think so. I'll probably just stay away from it. If the total sinks too low, I might go with the total because I think this is going to be a lopsided game. If we can only depend on 10-17 from San Diego State, I think I'd be happier, but it's just too high right now, both sides.
All right, well, might be a Friday night that you and I are both sitting on the sidelines. There's a NASCAR truck race on Friday night, though, if you're trying to catch a little sweat in here, Scott. So let's go ahead, though. Let's jump right into a loaded noon slate with a top 5 matchup in Happy Valley, Pennsylvania, where the 3rd-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions host the 4th-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. Big noon kickoff will be here. College game day will be here as well. The town of State College, Pennsylvania, will be a buzzin'. The status of Penn State quarterback Drew Allar is still unknown, leaving Penn State as 4-point dogs at some shops. Bo Prabula, he is a York kid. He's been around the system for a little bit now. He was great in relief of the former number one recruit, and he has the likes of Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, Tyler Warren, and the 4th-ranked total defense behind him if he has to go again. Penn State is now 3-4 against the spread and also undefeated straight up. Meanwhile, Ohio State, they were caught in somewhat of a look-ahead, as you predicted last week, against Nebraska, a game which they were held to just 285 yards and held the ball for only 25 minutes. They won that one, but they were 25.5-point favorites. This loss now brings them to 3-4 against the spread, but they still have the 9th total offense, 2nd total defense. These teams play every single year, and the last time Penn State beat the Buckeyes was in 2016. I remember that game. I was a freshman in college. I'll never forget it. Still, Penn State is covered in 3 of the last 5 matchups. Where does this one land here for you, Bogman? Is there any value available as it stands currently?
Yeah, I'll say this. I'm I'm not messing with the side until we know the status of Drew Aller. So the spread can wait. So let's see what's gonna go on with Drew. I mean, Pribula, however you say his name, he was excellent in the second half. He was really a strong performance in that win against Wisconsin, right? So not the worst if he has to start. It doesn't change the excuse me. It doesn't change the entire complexion of this game in any way, shape, or form. But it is, you want the experience in a game like this. So I can't take Penn State until I know Drew Aller is playing and that he's going to be 100%. I mean, he looked good after the game. I saw him screaming at someone on the sideline.
Yeah.
So he still got that fire, right? I think he's going to be okay. But I like the under in this game. I mean, I think there are issues on both sides. Ohio State looked one-dimensional on offense. The play calling is even. And they're top 30 in both, but 64 rushing yards against Nebraska, only 141 against Oregon. The run game might be a pretty decent concern, but what concerns me more right now is that your Penn State Nittany Lions got no pressure on Locke last week. That is more concerning. I'm on the Ohio State side a little bit, but I like the under right now. I think Penn State is going to step up. I think they'll get more pressure in this game, and the run game doesn't look very good for Ohio State right now, a little bit one-dimensional. So I just, we saw Oregon. Oregon is peaking right now. I don't think either one of these teams are peaking right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm on the under so far.
Yeah, I think it's a good play to kind of wait it out, see what we get middle of the week. If Aller is a go, I think I would be interested getting invested with Penn State. Like, let's be honest, this is the worst Ohio State has looked coming into a game in Happy Valley for as long as I can remember. They feel like their backs are against the ropes a little bit, but honestly, like, that's kind of when Ryan Day responds the best, especially against James Franklin. So you kind of have history going in Ohio State's favor, but this really is like now or never for Penn State, right?
I think so. That was also the perfect storm for Ohio State. It was like, you have the look-ahead spot for them. Mm-hmm. You have Nebraska being just embarrassed. We knew they were better than what they played against Indiana. But, I mean, Matt Rule was on top of those guys, and they made it dangerous for Ohio State. So I think Penn State is a bigger matchup and maybe a little bit of a look ahead for Penn State against Wisconsin as well. So I think both teams are going to come to play, which means points are going to be more difficult to come by. I don't see this playing out like the Ohio State-Oregon game.
Yeah. Can we just I get Fox has the rights to this game. Can we not make it a night game, please? I mean, we need all the Penn State fans, all the Happy Valley folks boozing all day for this one to get up. But they'll be ready to go. I have no doubt about it. Being up in that area for so long, I know. I mean, this is our Super Bowl, man. I hate to say it, but like every year, Ohio State comes to town and everyone from everywhere out of Pennsylvania, they come out of the woodwork for it. So excited to see this one. We'll talk more about it on Wednesday with Terrell. Meanwhile, in the SEC, the Arkansas Razorbacks host the 19th ranked Ole Miss Rebels as 6.5-point dogs. Arkansas is coming into this game after a pretty good showing against Mississippi State, where they had 673 total yards and quarterback Taylor Green accounted for a total of 6 touchdowns. They've moved to 6-2 against the spread. Ole Miss, meanwhile, they're coming off a 26-14 win against the Sooners, where they likely didn't cover if you bet them earlier in the week. OU's offense, though, honestly looked the best it has in a long time, totaling 329 yards against what's supposed to be a top 10 ranked defense for Ole Miss. Arkansas, 4-0 against the spread against Ole Miss in the Lane Kiffin era. Where does this line head this week, Bogman? I'm leaning towards the Razorbacks, but I would love to get this line above a touchdown.
Yeah, I would not be taking the Razorbacks.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. And look, I don't like a play on the side, to be honest. That's for this game. I like the under. And excuse me, BP, we're showing value on the under here. Ole Miss still hasn't had a bad game on defense. Even the game against LSU, they held them to 23 points in regulation. They haven't allowed anyone to put up 30 yet. Ole Miss has also not played their best on offense recently, just 26.5 points over the last 4 games. Their best wide receiver, Trey Harris, didn't play last week. Not sure if he's going to play this week. Arkansas is fresh off putting up 673 yards and 58 points, as you mentioned. But non-Mississippi State SEC defenses they've averaged just 17.5 points and 356 yards. Arkansas also has a big piece up in the area in their running back, Jaquindon Jackson. The freshman did a great job filling in for them last week, but I don't know if he's going to play either. So we have two big pieces of these offenses down. Ole Miss defense is still, like I said, have not had a bad game. So that's where I'm going to lean in this one. We're showing value on the under right now, and that's what I like here. This is another game where I like the under. I'm not a big under guy. I always say life's too short to bet the unders, but if it's going to win us money, I like it, and I feel like it can win us money this week.
Wow. I'm a little surprised, honestly, to hear that, just because Ole Miss, I felt like they were supposed to dominate that game against Oklahoma, and they got up early by a touchdown and then kind of let the back door open for Oklahoma to come back and cover the spread, at least in that. So
yeah, but they did it because they couldn't score.
Yeah.
Right? Oklahoma had their best offensive game. Still wasn't a good offensive game. It was okay, but it was their best offensive game. It doesn't mean it was good. And Ole Miss just couldn't score. Oklahoma's defense is good. I don't think Arkansas is that close, but we've seen Ole Miss play down specifically on offense. So, for me, I feel like this is going to be a low-scoring, disappointing type of game.
Yeah,
potential rain in that one too, so weather might affect it. We'll see.
Good call on that. Let's go ahead and round out the noon slate with number 5 Miami hosting the 6-2 Duke Blue Devils as 20.5-point favorites. Duke is coming off just a heartbreaking loss against SMU. They were in position to kick a game-winning field goal in regulation before it was blocked. They went to overtime. They lose that one, giving them their second loss this season. Duke's offense has been shaky at best, you could say, but this Manny Diaz-led defense, no surprise, is 33rd in total defense and 13th in passing defense. Will that be enough to slow down Cam Ward in this top-ranked total offense for Miami, averaging over 560 yards per game, Bogman?
Yeah, the line is right on top of the BP projection, so I don't think that we're showing a very big advantage there. The key matchup to me, like you mentioned, Seth, is Miami's number 1 offense going up against a top 20 defense. I just think Miami's a little bit too much for Duke to handle. But to their credit, Duke is top 15 against the pass. They have the 4th best coverage grade on PFF in the country. The Duke defense has the 2nd most turnovers forced, 19 this season. But they had 6 of those last week against SMU, and they still lost.
Right.
Miami has only turned the ball over 7 times this year. They did finally have a strong performance defensively against FSU, but FSU is a different level of pathetic. I'm hoping the line dips toward Miami a little bit. A lot of the money and tickets right now are on Duke because this line is so big. Duke has just had some pathetic showings on offense, and I don't think they're going to have enough to stick with Miami the whole game. Like, I think if you want to take Duke in this game, maybe take a first half Duke number. You know what I mean? I think right now Miami's just looking too good offensively, and it may not take many points for them to, beat this spread. I think if they score 35, are we sure Duke is going to score 14 against Miami? Miami's defense has played bad, and they played down occasionally. But this offense for Duke has been, otherworldly bad right now. Not FSU, but not great. So I think I like Miami. I just want this number to dip down a little bit, around below 20. I'll feel comfortable.
I'm with you there. And before we continue, I did want to remind everyone to join the College Football Podcast group. You can sync your picks and use the Quick Pick feature on the BettingPros sports betting app to get a chance to win some free prizes. Elevate your betting strategy and join the conversation today at bettingpros.com/college. Let's open the 3:30 slate with a neutral site game in Jacksonville, Florida, where the number 2 Georgia Bulldogs are favored by 16.5 over the 4-3 Florida Gators. Both teams come in fresh off a bye, but the last time we saw Georgia, they knocked off your Texas Longhorns 30-15 in Austin to move to 2-5 ATS. Georgia dominated both lines of scrimmage in that one. I think that's fair to say. Former Gator Trevor Etienne had his best game of his Georgia Bulldog career, rushing for 3 touchdowns. Florida, though, they have covered in 4 straight games, including wins over Mississippi State, UCF, and a 48-20 victory against Kentucky in DJ Lagway's first start. What's the handicap for this game, Bogman, and is 16.5 points enough for you?
It is. Georgia has had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, so hopefully The letdown spot is non-existent. Look ahead maybe because they play Ole Miss, but you're not going to look ahead from Georgia. I think they really want to beat Georgia. Last time we saw Florida, as you said, they're looking strong on offense. They put up 48 points, 20 more than they had against any other FBS team this year. But Georgia got the offense rolling in that second half against Alabama, and they found the defense in Austin against Texas. So Georgia has won this game 3 years in a row with the margins of victory being 27, 22, 23. Georgia is only 2-5 against the spread, but 4 of those 5 against the spread losses were with spreads of more than 20 points, and the other one was Bama. I think UGA is about to thump Florida. I don't think this game's going to be very close. Maybe I'm overestimating the Texas victory, right? Because I do think Texas is good. And maybe I'm ignoring that look-ahead spot to Ole Miss. I don't think I am, though. I'm going to lay the points, and I'm going to be taking the Bulldogs.
I don't think it's a bad call, especially Lagway. He's looked good so far, but still very inexperienced, and I don't think that lends itself going against a team like Georgia, especially the way that defensive line finally got healthy. They were swarming that Texas offense all night. So, yeah.
That's it. And that's, everyone talks about how there's 2 NFL-level tackles in Texas, and they, they beat them like a drum. So I just don't think Florida has a lot of chance here. And Lagway can prove me wrong. Yeah, I would be happy to be proven wrong in this game. But I think Georgia lays a wood to him. I don't think it's very close.
Georgia has won and covered in 3 straight in this rivalry. They've also won by an average of 24 points. So I think you're getting value at the 16. Would you hop on that now, or do you think there's going to be a chance where we get that all week?
I think right now it is. Yeah, it's shaded pretty heavy to Georgia, so I'd probably get on it now.
Okay, next up, we head to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where the number 1 ranked Oregon Ducks are laying 14.5 points on the Michigan Wolverines. It was a really slow start for the Oregon Ducks. However, they have covered in 3 straight games, including that nail-biter win over Ohio State and blowouts against Purdue and Illinois. The Ducks, they now sit 11th in total offense and 12th in total defense. Michigan got back on track with a 24-17 win against Michigan State, but they still remain 0-8 against the spread. You've made money if you faded Michigan so far this season. Davis Warren was back as a starter last week. He looked somewhat serviceable, but they're also now using Alex Orji as a run-only option, probably how he was made to really be used here. He rushed for 64 yards and a score. Can the Wolverines keep this one close against a rolling Dan Lanning-led Oregon team, Boggs?
No, I don't. This is not enough points to me. Oregon can be beat on defense. They let Boise State score on them. Obviously, Ohio State came in and put up points on them. But Michigan isn't going to do that. They don't score points. They are back to Davis Warren, a quarterback, and even though they just put up 24 against Michigan State, they only held the ball for 22 minutes and 55 seconds, and they only had 265 total yards. That lopsided time of possession will have Oregon run up the score if that's the case. Oregon has been scary on defense recently. As you said, they shut out Purdue. In Purdue, they held Illinois to only 9 points last week, and I'm done chasing Michigan. I said it last week. I'm done with Michigan. They have proven to me that they're not a bow up spot. They're not a beat a roster that is less than them spot. They have shown me nothing this year at all. So I'm going to take Oregon and lay the points here. I have no love for Michigan at this point.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. It's been ring around the rosy and musical chairs at the quarterback position all year. I mean, they've literally gone to every single starter they have in their arsenal, and it's still not good enough.
They just went back to Davis Warren, who didn't work out for them before because he turned the ball over. So hopefully he cuts down on the turnovers. He didn't turn the ball over against Michigan State, so great. But how can you go against Oregon right now? I think Oregon is peaking. It's not the right time to peak. Yeah, and they might be doing it right now. But they just look too strong right now. I'm not messing with them.
Where's Connor Stallion when you need him? You know
Seriously.
what I mean?
Yeah, they need something.
Let's move to East Lansing, Michigan, where the Michigan State Spartans are just 6.5-point dogs against the 13th ranked and undefeated Indiana Hoosiers. I'm going to be honest, this line makes absolutely no sense to me. Indiana, they're 8-0 against the spread, 6th in total defense, 5th in total offense as well. There's also optimism that QB Curtis Rourke could be back for this one. The Spartans have looked better recently, covering in 3 straight, including an impressive win against Iowa in Week 8. But Aiden Chiles still has more interceptions than passing touchdowns. Bogman, am I missing something, or do we bet the house on Sig Signetti and the boys once again here in Week 10?
I mean, what did I say last week? Hoosiers till the wheels fall off, right?
Yeah.
The wheels have yet to fall off, so we're on the Hoosiers again. And this line feels like a trap. But you know what felt like a trap? BYU UCF last week, and
Yes.
It was not a trap. I don't understand. Michigan State's been playing better recently. They beat Iowa and then had the close loss to Michigan. But Indiana just beat Washington and Nebraska and covered in both those games. And one of them was with a backup quarterback. And there's, like you said, there's a chance Curtis Rourke is going to be back. Indiana had a pick 6 in only 1 penalty, and they held Washington to 3 of 11 on 3rd downs. I mean, you talk about efficiency. Coach Sig has these dudes playing super efficient in Indiana. I don't get this line either. Michigan State held the ball for 37 minutes against Michigan, and They came away with 17 points and 352 yards. 37 minutes. And that's the best you can muster. This is not enough points. Hoosiers till the wheels fall off.
And they're not going to hold the ball that long in this game because
no,
Justice Ellison in that backfield for IU, regardless who's at quarterback, I mean, this guy is a stud, and it feels like whenever the game's somewhat in question mark, like Justice just gets the ball and he's running over everybody, especially near the goal line.
Look, Aiden Chiles has to be flawless in this game, and that's just asking too much for a guy that has been flawed this year against the most efficient defense, I feel like, in the country, and a team that doesn't get penalties, and a team that is so well coached. So, Michigan State is at home. They're probably underrated right now, which is why this line isn't as big as we expect it to be. But it feels trappy, but I think this is just not enough points, and I'm big on Indiana. I know. Shh. Let's keep that quiet. But
yeah.
It's already moved a half point. I'm seeing it jumped to 7.5. So get it early.
Okay.
If you're going to be on the Hoosiers.
Okay. Yeah, I'm absolutely got to get down on them now. Might be my biggest bet of the season so far. I am really I'm smoking that pack of cigs, man. I'll tell you that much. In Ames, Iowa, the undefeated and 11th ranked Iowa State Cyclones are 14.5-point favorites against the 5-3 Texas Tech Raiders. Before the bye, Iowa State had a major scare against UCF where it took some late game heroics from quarterback Rocco Beck to win 38-35. Iowa State now is 5-2 against the spread, and they possess the 31st ranked total offense and 19th total defense. Texas Tech opened their season with impressive wins against North Texas, Arizona State, Cincy, Arizona, but they've now dropped 2 straight Big 12 games to Baylor and TCU, 2 teams I haven't been overly impressed with this season. The Red Raiders are now 4-4 ATS and have the 18th ranked total offense. The question here is, though, Bogman, whether Texas Tech's total defense, 127th, one of the worst defenses in the country, will let Iowa State run away with this. What do you think?
Yeah, so this one's tough because Iowa State has been playing great defense. 9th in scoring defense, second against the pass. But let's look at the opponents, right, that Iowa State has played. They haven't played a good passing offense yet. Iowa is 128th. Arkansas State is 50th. Houston is 126th. Baylor is 61st.
Wow.
West Virginia is 91st. UCF is 106th. They also have been really good in rushing the passer. I think that the thing here in this game is that I don't know if Iowa State can stop a passing attack like Texas Tech because they haven't played anyone like Texas Tech. What I do know is that Texas Tech can't stop anybody right now. So I think the over is the best play in this game. 56.5. I think Iowa State's going to score. And because Iowa State hasn't been challenged vertically on defense, I think they're going to miss a couple plays here and let Texas Tech score some points in this game. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. And if it's not, and if Texas Tech looks pathetic on offense, then Iowa State is going to score a lot. So I think Iowa State does the heavy lifting either way here, but I like the over in this game.
Yeah, Tech 13-8 all time against Iowa State. They've also won 2 straight dating back to 2021. So something to keep in mind there. Sounds like you're not taking a side here. You're just like the total and maybe sitting on this line until we get something potentially more favorable in the side of Iowa State probably later in the week, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how that comes down, but again, the line right now, or the cash and the tickets are almost exclusively on Texas Tech. The
Okay.
market is saying,
Yeah.
let's see Iowa State play a really good passing offense and see how they handle that. That's why I'm on the over. I'm not going to take Iowa State here. I think it's too many points. Texas Tech is a good squad, but their defense has been fairly pathetic. So let's just stick with the over in this one.
Okay, let's go ahead and open the primetime slate with the 10th ranked Texas A&M Aggies laying 3.5 points on the 4-3 South Carolina Gamecocks. Mike Elko made the decision to bench Connor Wegman last week midway through the game against LSU, and Marcel Reed ran wild, 3 touchdowns on the ground. Part of that was getting put in really good field position by LSU's offense, turning the ball over. The interesting thing about A&M, though, is they're not really great at anything except they're pretty good at running the ball. They're just super solid all the way around. They're still just 3-5 against the spread, though. The numbers suggest that South Carolina actually has the better defense, one that has led them to a 5-2 record against the spread. However, the Aggies are 9-1 all-time against the Gamecocks. Bogman, can you talk me out of just hammering the minus 160 A&M money line and saying forget the points, I'm just taking the better team to win out right here?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk you out of it. I think right now, Texas A&M is on some kind of run, but this is a tough road game against a good SEC opponent. But the problem I see with the Gamecocks is how are they going to score against A&M? A&M doesn't match well with South Carolina on offense statistically, but being run heavy is probably helpful because the pass coverage, that's the real strength of the SC defense and the pass rush, right? So my issue is I don't trust Sellers to beat the A&M secondary. Nussmeier did, but he also threw 3 picks. Texas A&M is 10th in the country in completion percentage allowed. They have a top 20 run defense as well. SC beat OU with only 254 yards, and they win with defense. I just think these teams are similar, but Texas A&M is the better version of both these teams that are still kind of trying to figure it out on offense. You don't have the musical chairs at South Carolina, but you have the inconsistency of Lenora Sellers. With Texas A&M, you have, it's Marcel Reed, it's Connor Wegman, but you know what they really have is 2 quarterbacks that can play to whatever you need. If you need someone to be running the ball like Marcel Reed, throw him in there. And if that's not getting the job done, put Connor Wegman in to tear him up through the air. So they have 2 decent quarterbacks here, and I think they're going to make it work. So I'm going to lay the points and take Texas A&M. If you don't want to mess around with the points like Seth, and you just want to take A&M to win straight up, I'm on that as well. So I think Texas A&M is a better version of these 2 similar teams.
Would you get that money line and that spread early? Do you think there's a chance we see the spread open up later in the week?
You know what? Last night there wasn't enough bets on this game,
Okay.
but right now I can tell you that it's actually shaded towards South Carolina.
Oh.
But by 1 point, it's now minus 2.5. But tickets and cash are on the Aggies. So I think the Aggies are coming off an impressive win. It's not surprising to see tickets shaded towards them. They're not perfect, but they're on a roll, and I just don't really trust South Carolina.
Okay, let's go ahead and let's keep it moving with the number 11 Clemson Tigers at home against the 5-3 Louisville Cardinals. The Tigers are 11-point favorites in this game against their ACC foe. Clemson is 5-2 ATS and has the 5th ranked total offense led by quarterback Cade Klubnik. They now come in fresh off a bye following 6 straight wins. But Jeff Fromm's boys are no cakewalk either. They have now come back. They are down early to Boston College, down by 20-0 on Friday night. So they did fail to cover, but they did get themselves back in that game in position to win it. They come away with a win. However, they do have losses this season to SMU, Miami, Notre Dame, some of the better teams in the ACC, and then Notre Dame is independent, of course. But how do you see this line going for this one, Bogman?
Yeah, so right now we have cash on Clemson and tickets on Louisville. So we're kind of split in public opinion on how this game is going to go. Clemson is playing great right now, but the reason I think Louisville is getting tickets is because they haven't lost a game by more than 7 points. Clemson has been blowing teams out since being dismantled against Georgia in the opener. Clemson has beat the brakes off everyone they have played, but 4 of their next 5 games are so much tougher. We're showing the edge towards Louisville, and I think that is the right thing here. Louisville is sticking with elite level competition, losses by 7 to Notre Dame, SMU, and Miami, coupled with Clemson letting up against North Carolina, waiting for them to turn it on last week against BC, right? It makes me lean towards Louisville. Like, we've seen them play down and come back. We've seen them stick with teams. So Louisville is just annoying. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're good, but they are putting up a fight against everybody. And like I said, they didn't play for 2.5 quarters against BC last week and then came back and won that game. So I think they have enough, especially if Clemson lets off the brakes, to get a backdoor cover here. So I think there's multiple outs to Louisville covering this. So I'm going to take Louisville in this game.
Okay, do you think the spread opens up any more? Do you think 12.5 is probably the best number you can get the Cardinals at?
No, I think it's going to come down.
Okay.
So I think if you want Louisville, go ahead and take them now.
Okay, and then wait if you do happen to want Clemson there.
Yes.
I like it. Good analysis there. Next up is an SEC matchup with the 7th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers hosting the 3-5 Kentucky Wildcats as 15.5-point favorites. A covering machine early, Kentucky has lost straight up as favorites in 3 straight weeks to the likes of Vandy, Florida, and Auburn, largely because their offense is ranked 119th in the country. Tennessee, meanwhile, they're coming off a big win against Bama. They've now moved to 5-2 ATS this season. They have the 3rd-ranked total defense and the 8th-ranked total offense. Where do we see this line going, if anywhere, Bogman?
Yeah, moving bigger towards Tennessee. That's where cash and tickets are almost exclusively, especially cash, on the Vols right now. And I'm on the Vols here too. We've seen Kentucky bow up and play well against Georgia, and they beat Mississippi. So this could be a get-up game for the Wildcats on the road. I just don't think that they can score against Tennessee. I think that's a big thing. They did put up 20 on Ole Miss, but that was with 40 minutes of possession. They're not going to get that against Tennessee. Tennessee's coming off a bye, so hopefully they can work through some of those offensive issues that they've had.
Right.
Kentucky's been bad at defending against the run, and Tennessee is a top 10 rushing offense. I just don't think Kentucky matches up well in this game. They matched up well against Ole Miss. I don't think they do here against Tennessee. Tennessee is going to be able to run the ball against Kentucky. Kentucky's offense has been inept this season. They put up 24 on Auburn. I'm going to lay the points and take the Vols. The Vols have lost me money both ways this year when I bet against them and bet on them. So give me some of that money back, Tennessee. That's what I want. So I'm going to lay the points and take the Vols here.
The Vols are 8-2 against Kentucky in their last 10. They've also covered in 3 straight in this matchup in the Josh Heupel era. So the trends are on your side as well with Tennessee in that one, Bogman.
Yeah. I just don't like Kentucky's offense right now. I think Vandegrift has been a problem, and I don't see a solution there. So,
he's no Will Levis, I'll tell you that much.
He is no Will Levis. That is true.
That mayo-eating son of a gun. Let's
go
ahead.
Tennessee fans, they hate Will Levis, but he's on their Titans. So
yes. Yes. Let's round out the program with a top 25 ACC matchup with the undefeated 18th-ranked Pitt Panthers on the road against the 20th-ranked SMU Mustangs. SMU is surprisingly favored by 7.5 in this one. It was a slow start to the season for SMU, but they've settled in now with the 26th total offense and 33rd-ranked total defense. But will that be enough against a Pitt team that just ate Kyle McCord's lunch, beating Syracuse 41-13? Pitt is now 6-1 against the spread, and they have the 25th ranked total offense. Bogman, were you as surprised as I was to see Pitt as underdogs over a touchdown here?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. In SMU, they better quit turning the ball over if they hope to beat Pitt. I mean, I'm sure you saw the stat. This one was everywhere, but since 2000, SMU was the second team in 126 chances to win with a -6 turnover differential.
Wow.
Second team ever. And Pitt picked off McCord 5 times.
Yeah.
And returned 3 of those for touchdown. for touchdowns. Pitt also passes well. SMU hasn't defended the pass well, but they just haven't been challenged recently. FSU 101st. Louisville put up some points on them, and they're 10th. But then Stanford at 117th. Duke at 72nd passing offense in the country. They haven't seen a team like Pitt here. I like Pitt, and I don't hate a money line play, Seth. Plus 245.
Yeah.
Pitt has won shootouts. They won 28-27 against Cincy. The score doesn't look like a shootout, but they put up almost 500 yards in that one. 38-34 against Western Virginia. They've won low-scoring scrap against Cal, 17-15. But they're one of only 13 teams to average double-digit fourth-quarter points, so they can cover on the back door as well if you want to take the point. So I'm on Pitt here any way you slice it, really. I mean, SMU is a team with their roster. They should beat Pitt, and that is why SMU, they're at home, right? This should be a SMU walk, but not with the way they played. There's potential rain. Who does rain favor in a game where SMU can't quit turning the ball over and Pitt can't stop taking it away, right? So I think SMU being at home is their only advantage in this game right now, which is a big advantage. I do think the roster should be better, but it hasn't played better at all.
Right.
I think Pitt is another team that might be peaking at the right time to win this game for us. Maybe not for bowl season and all that, but for right now, I'm taking the Panthers, and I don't hate a money line either.
I mean, SMU was nearly a field goal away from losing that game if that doesn't get blocked at the end.
And a 2-point conversion, too.
Yeah.
They could have lost on that as well. So SMU, you turn the ball over 6 times, you should lose that game. That's why I'm on Miami against Duke, because Duke couldn't score with 6 turnovers, right? So, I mean, it's SMU better get it together if they hope to beat Pitt.
Pitt also has the rest advantage. They played last Thursday, so they have a bit more days coming into this one to prepare to get back healthy. So, yeah, I'm with you there. I think that's probably one of my favorite plays of the week as well. So, love what you came to the table here with today, Bogman. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. That will do it for us today on the Betting Pros College Football Show. Thank you for watching. We'll be back later in the week with Terrell for our picks and predictions show. Until then, like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and podcast feed. Plus, download the Betting Pros app and sync your sportsbooks today. For Scott Bogman, I am Seth Woolcock. Thanks for watching. Take care, y'all.